stoked to have you on.
Yeah.
Um, and I know you're definitely more of a baseball guy, but growing up I'm sure in Southern California, you can't help but be a
Yeah,
Lakers fan somewhat.
when I was a kid, I watched the Lakers religiously, and
Yeah,
then that went through high school and college, and up until I had kids.
yeah,
And then once I had kids, I kind of had to pick a sport because I don't have a lot of time to watch much of anything. So I chose baseball because that was my first
sure.
love. But I still keep tabs on the Lakers. I don't
Yeah,
keep tabs on the league as much as I used to. Like I used
sure.
to just watch whatever the TNT game of the week
Yeah, yeah.
was and the NBC game, whatever.
Mhm.
But now it's like when it's not baseball season, I'll try to get the Lakers on the tube if my
Yeah.
kids don't make a stink about it. Um, but and then in the postseason, I'll
Sure.
follow. But
Well,
yeah, not as close as I used to.
yeah, sure. And we'll talk a little bit more, but first I'd love to talk a little music.
Yeah,
Um, And a little tip-off question I love kind of throwing out to people is I'd love to know what you're listening to right now, because at least in terms of when I see you on social media, you're always posting stuff.
yeah. I try to I try to listen to a lot of new stuff, just not only to like keep myself in tune with what is happening,
Yeah.
but just try to find new inspiring stuff. Yeah, so I post something. I try to do it every day. I don't always
Mhm.
have something to post every day. Recently, I heard I heard the episode you did with Steve from Pup. The Pup record is amazing.
So good.
No surprise there. Like
No, yeah.
they never ever miss. Everything is great. Um,
Just like straight up fun music.
yeah, it's perfect and it's
Yeah.
raw and it's real and it feels alive and I feel like a lot of like especially recently a lot of all music
Hmm.
is kind of synthetic feeling. I feel like that's just the way that recording has
Right.
evolved. Um, a lot of drum samples and a lot of
Sure, sure.
artificial sounding guitars, and everybody wants everything to be perfect. So it's so cool to hear a modern record that just sounds like a band,
Yeah. Yeah.
which shouldn't be a weird thing to say, but it is a weird thing these days. I feel like.
Right. And I feel like even the song they have with Jeff Rosenstock, like you even hear him like kind of fuck up and
Oh
they're just
yeah,
like, yeah, just leave it in.
yeah. It's all
So great.
about capturing a moment. It doesn't have to
Absolutely.
be perfect.
And that's
Yeah.
why, people love live music because it's like, because you're hearing it in its rawest form. It's like that, hearing that on record, it feels like almost like live music.
Yeah. And then I feel like personally, if what you're putting down on a record feels alive and semi live as much as recording can be, it takes some pressure off you when you are playing live because you
Mhm.
know that you're delivering what the people have heard on records.
Right.
Um, like some I listen to a lot of heavy stuff and a lot of the like bigger metal bands now. It just I like a lot of it, but it doesn't sound real. It sounds like
Hmm.
everything is just so perfect and so huge and so over the top. Um, and then you see some of those bands live, and it's a very different animal, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but
Sure.
I kind of I like artifacts in what I'm hearing,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
string noise and guitar buzz and feedback and
Hmm.
stuff like that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
When you hear an artist live and they play a song you love and they kind of change the cadence live versus the record, do you like that or not?
I do. I
Yeah.
mean, as long as it's not like way, way off.
Sure.
Um, or if there's a melody and part of the hook is maybe something that's a little bit more strained, and instead of
Hmm.
trying to hit that high octave, the singer will like settle into a lower
Right.
octave. That's a
Saving their
little,
voice sometimes. Yeah.
yeah, that can be a little bit of a letdown, but
Yeah.
new
Cool.
ways to phrase stuff or new
Right.
lyrics are always cool to me.
Yeah, I always think I have the there's a live Fleetwood Mac album that I have, and I listen back and I hear like some of the songs. It's like, oh, you're completely changing the phrasing of things, and it's like I can't tell if I like it or not, but it truly does feel unique. So I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, the Pup album, love it.
Yes.
Um,
Also the new Propaganda I
mm,
like a lot. They were like a formative punk band for me back in the early 90s when I was just starting to get into it, and
yeah.
they still rip and are so fun to listen to, and the lyrics are great and
Mhm.
still matter. They were singing about
Yeah.
stuff that
Right.
mattered back then, and it still matters, if not more now than it did then.
It was a good
Um,
weekend for Canadian punks. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. Um, the new Fax record I like a lot.
Mhm.
Really cool, noisy, hypnotic, dreamy, kind of, I guess it's noise rock in a way.
Sure. Okay.
But they do their records with Steve Albini and
Mhm.
or did.
Yeah.
And they sound awesome and alive and cool. And then another band that I've been super into recently, I think they're called Yahweh Now Nail Gun.
Oh yeah, that's a
But it's
crazy album.
yeah, it's YHWH Nail
Yeah.
Gun. It is so weird and so fucked up, and it's like oddly melodic, but it's
Hmm.
also super discordant, and the singer sounds like he's having like an episode or
Yeah, yeah.
something. The drummer is a fucking ripper. Um, he's got rototoms too, which
Right.
like haven't been around since like 80s Prague or
Uh-huh.
70s Prague. Yeah, that record's insane. And at first, when I listened to it, I was like, what the hell is
Yeah.
this? And then I just couldn't stop listening to
You know what the album sounds like is I actually kind of thought of this this past weekend. I was actually watching RoboCop of all movies.
it.
And then I'm like, that album sounds like in like 80s and 90s movies when they're like, what does music of the future sound like?
Totally. Yeah. I shared it with the guys in my band, and I share a lot of stuff with them, and sometimes I just get crickets back.
Yeah,
Um, Especially with Dustin, because Dustin listens to like a pretty markedly different style of music than I tend to
sure.
gravitate towards. And he was the first one to get back to me. He's like, "Oh my god, this is so sick! It sounds like music from the future."
Right.
Yeah,
So
it's
insane.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely was a big surprise for me this year. Um, cool. So one thing I like to do is every guest that comes on, I like to have them kind of contribute a song to this ongoing playlist. Is there any song you'd kind of love to add on there?
Mm. Mm. Does it matter what vibe it is or
No, and I kind of love
when it's
that too,
from?
that you can completely like, 180 whoever was right before you.
All right. I gotta double check the song title. I'm so
Yeah.
bad with song titles,
Oh
but
yeah, all good.
it's a Kowloon Walled City song, who are good friends of mine and one of my legit favorite bands, and it would be my favorite band even if I didn't know the guys.
Sweet.
The singer and guitar player is Scott Evans, and he has mixed our last two records and we'll be mixing the new one that we're working on now.
Sweet.
He's an incredible engineer and mixer. Um, the song is called The Pressure Keeps Me Alive,
Okay.
and it is from their album Container Ships, which is an all timer record for me.
What's the vibe of it? I haven't really heard it.
Really down tempo, sludgy
Cool.
heaviness that has a cool melodic edge to it. It's like
Nice.
bummer jams, really heavy bummer jams.
Sweet. And I just looked. I'm like, what's that going to follow? And I don't know if you've ever heard of Nourished by Time, but that was the
I
last
have not.
recommendation. It's kind of like prog rap almost. So
Perfect.
that's going to be a fun
Yeah,
fun switch up.
major left turn. I love it.
Cool. So yeah, you mentioned you guys just kind of wrapped recording a new Thrice album.
Yeah,
Uh
we're like still working on it,
Got it.
technically. Yeah.
Cool. So I mean, you've been with the band very long time. I'm
Hmm.
curious, obviously the sound has evolved. How do
Yeah.
you feel the sound has evolved with this new album versus the last one you guys put out?
Mm, I think it's more of us just exploring what we can get away with given um, our influences at the time and I guess our abilities.
Sure.
Because I mean, if you could dream up and play whatever you wanted to, we'd probably make something extremely wild. But you're limited by your ability on your instrument. You're limited by what the collective is okay with. Um, so yeah, we're just kind of pushing the boundaries of, like always, like pushing the boundaries of what we can get away with.
Yeah. You mentioned typically Dustin, what he's kind of listening to often is on the
Hmm.
other side of what you're listening to. Does that often kind of work its way to like where you meet in the middle in the music you guys write?
For sure. And I mean, that goes for the other guys in the band
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Like Tepe is really into jazz.
Hmm.
Um, Ed really likes a lot of like early 90s Discord stuff and beyond that, just like really weird kind of experimental
Sure.
music. Um, Dustin is all over the place, like whether it's like singer songwriter stuff or like really old country stuff, um, some like dub stuff. And then I tend to lean a little heavier
Yeah.
with my tastes. But I think that's what makes us us is that everybody in the band writes music
Hmm.
um, on a variety of different instruments. And everybody brings ideas to the table when it comes time to make a record. And then we just push it through the Thrice funnel, and everybody has their say um, about how songs are going to be arranged and developed. And um, I think it's cool that we don't all listen to the same bands and that
Yeah.
we don't all like the same bands. I mean,
Well,
there are like core bands that we all love, but
mhm.
on the fringes, it gets weird.
Yeah, I feel like that allows everyone to kind of bring something a little unexpected every time.
Yeah, like Steve from Pup, like when you look at the stuff that he's been listening to, it's so not
Yeah,
what Pup sounds like,
right.
but what he brings to Pup is incredible.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, cool. Well, super excited to kind of, when that album comes to fruition. Definitely
Yes,
excited to check that out.
eventually.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, I'm also curious, how did Puig Destroyer start?
Ah, so I used to have a baseball podcast with Ian Miller, who actually plays bass in Kowloon Walled City.
Oh, cool.
Um, we had a podcast, and Yasiel Puig had just been called up by the Dodgers
Mhm.
and was putting up insane numbers
Yeah.
and playing like his hair was on fire. And he was
Licking his
just this
bat.
like, yeah, just this magnetic figure, not only in what he was doing on the field, but the way he was acting
Right.
off the field. And he was just crazy. And I think Ian said, "Oh, we should start a band called Puig Destroyer that plays like grindcore, but it's baseball inspired."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ha, yeah, whatever." And then we got off that podcast recording, and he had like hours later had sent me some bass lines, and he was like, "Figure out some stuff to do
Hilarious.
over this." So I programmed the drums for that stuff because I we wanted it to be as ridiculous as possible.
Of course, it should be.
And it was fun. We got John, who plays guitar in Kowloon Walled City, to play guitar on it.
Hmm.
My friend Mike Minnick, who sang for a hardcore kind of metalish band called Curl Up and Die, did vocals. And we did like, I think we did like two EPs and a full length.
Damn.
And um, Yeah, it went from being a joke on a podcast to an EP to something that like Yahoo Sports was talking about
Right.
and ESPN was talking about, and
Yeah.
it had its moment, and it was really funny because I spent my entire life or adult life like playing in bands and
Yeah.
hiring publicists and doing press for my job.
Right. Right.
And then I make this bullshit band. Um, and we got all that stuff with no publicist and no label, nothing.
It's amazing.
So it's
I
weird.
mean, baseball fans will will flock to
Yeah,
anything baseball meme or joke
for
related
sure. It was right time, right place kind of thing.
for sure. Uh, so baseball's your, would you say baseball's your number one?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you still kind of, you always like in the kind of in the loop, in the thick of it?
I try to. Yeah.
Yeah.
When my kids were younger and my wife and I were like legit in the weeds, just
Yeah.
like overwhelmed with being parents, I didn't get to follow it as closely, but
Sure.
my son's almost 10 and my daughter's 8 now. So we're like out of the weeds a bit, and
Yeah.
I have more free time. I have the ability to watch games now instead of just
Right.
reading a box score.
And you got to
But
jump back in for a World Series.
yes.
So congrats on that.
Yeah.
I mean, Dodgers look very insane.
Yeah. And I get why people hate them.
Sure.
I
It's
mean,
the loopholes, you know?
yeah, they're really good.
Yeah.
They have a lot of money. They have
It
great player development and scouting, and um, I don't know. They're like a model organization,
I
and they've been
I
really good for a
truly,
long time. So
yeah, I
people
have
hate
no
them.
idea how they keep getting such good prospects. It's just such good player development
Yeah.
that you don't even
And
know what to do with.
the team that I grew up rooting for, the Angels, are like the polar opposite,
Yeah.
where they're terrible at scouting and terrible at player development. And they've been the laughing stock for like the window where the Dodgers have been really good in, the Angels have been shitty.
Right.
Yeah.
Otani like originally signed there 100% because of Mike Trout, right?
I don't know. Some people say it's because the Angels were like one of the few teams that promised him that they would let him hit and pitch.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't know what the real reason is.
Right,
Uh,
right.
um, if I were going to pick a team to play for, even back then when he signed, I would have chosen the Dodgers.
Yeah. Yeah. Or me as a Cubs fan, I would have picked the Cubs. But
Yeah,
no one
the
wants to
Cubs.
be in the middle of the country. You know, you got to keep them on the coast. I get it.
Yeah,
Um, cool. And you also started Classic Grit.
I did.
What I guess well, so what kind of prompted you to kind of start that up?
Trying to think of how when it actually started. We went on hiatus in 2012, I want to say, or 2013, and I was kind of hopping around from job to job. And one of the jobs I got was in the warehouse of a an athletic apparel company. And my buddy who got me the job also worked in the warehouse, so I was working with him, and we're dealing with shirts and hoodies and fleece, the other kinds of fleece, all this stuff, and talking baseball all day.
Mhm.
And at some point during that employment, we talked about doing something someday that was like baseball inspired, but rooted in music, and wasn't as lame as most baseball merch is, especially the stuff that's like MLB licensed. Um, so I think in 2019, we partnered up and started the company, and it is baseball and music inspired merch. The designs are very rooted in like vintage baseball aesthetic
Yeah,
blended with like kind of like old school hardcore merch. So everything's
yeah,
like
totally.
really clean and not over stylized. And we print them on good blanks that fit well because we'd been buying baseball merch for years and years and years that either didn't fit well, didn't last, or um, was like questionable. It was like something you
Yeah,
would
yeah,
wear to a game, but you would never wear it anywhere else.
sure. I feel like you also have so much experience in like band merch too. So
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
cool. Do you are you have you guys looked into like MLB licensing, or is that not something you like want to do?
It's prohibitively expensive.
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
And we got a cease and desist from MLB too. Um, for a while we were doing like we would borrow a logo like the Dodgers LA, and then we would write classic grit with the
Yeah.
LA and classic with the Dodgers LA. And that T kind of blew up a little bit to the point where guys on the Dodgers were actually wearing it. I had some connections there, so I was sending the clubhouse a bunch of tees.
Mhm.
So then we did one for the Angels, we did one for the White Sox, and then we had some other merch that was like not using anything that was trademarked from MLB, but it was like adjacent
Yeah, yeah.
to the point where MLB sent us a very angry email and was like, you got to take all this stuff out of your shop. You got to wipe your socials of all this stuff.
Ugh,
You can't sell it. And if you don't do it, we're going to take you to court. And we were like, we don't even make money as a
I know.
brand. We have like under 4,000 followers on Instagram. Like, this is not, we're not some like merchandising monolith that's going to put whatever like baseballism out of business or some other company that is willing
Putting
and
Mitchell and
able.
Ness out of business.
Right, yeah. Ebbets Field flannels is no more because classic grit
Oh
took them
man,
over.
I I love Ebbets
Yeah,
um, or at
they
least I
got,
did, and I'm not sure what to think after the Fanatics purchase.
yeah. There's definitely a large shift
Yeah,
aesthetically.
yeah, definitely. It's I feel like they're like this is Kith. That's kind of what they're
Yeah,
going for.
it's definitely got more of like a high-end streetwear vibe than like
Mhm.
the authentic
Actual
old
heritage,
school
yeah.
baseball stuff. Yeah.
Real bummer, but you
Yeah.
know that's what happens, right? Especially with Fanatics taking hold of MLB uniforms, I'm just like
Yeah.
I've grown to really be not the biggest fan of Fanatics.
Yeah, it's the way of the world
Right.
now. The, the
Well,
beast
I
consumes
know.
everything.
Um, so you grew up a Dodgers fan, you and switching over to basketball, but you grew up
Hmm.
a little bit of a Lakers fan.
Yeah, I mean, Showtime Lakers I grew up on.
Yeah,
And
awesome.
then Kobe's whole career, I was in on that. Um, and then there are some points in there where I kind of dipped out a little bit, but
Yeah.
um, another team that people hate a lot because they're good, and I get it, and their fans can be questionable at best.
It
And then
happens.
they seem to always luck into getting the best player on earth at some point in time.
Yeah.
So I
But
get I get the hate.
there's history, like and I mentioned, I'm from Chicago, I'm a Cubs fan, I'm a
Mhm.
Bulls fan. Like there's plenty of reasons to hate the Bulls for because of Michael Jordan, but like again, it's Michael Jordan and it's,
Right. I did hate the Bulls for a little bit,
yeah.
but
Everyone kind of hated the
it
Bulls for a
was
little bit.
Michael Jordan, and
Exactly.
when you can watch a guy kick ass at basketball, that is just good entertainment, straight up.
Absolutely. Um, I'm curious. So you grew up with the Showtime Lakers. What's like your earliest kind of basketball memory you
Oh man.
had?
I remember it might have been like, this is gonna date me. I think it might have been like 1986. or something, watching, I might be wrong. I might have to Google this, but Lakers Pistons
Okay.
in the finals, and it was like Showtime Lakers versus Dumars and Isaiah and Bill Laimbeer, and
Mhm.
hated those Pistons teams.
Everyone did.
So easy to hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably it. I mean, just those Lakers teams with Magic and Worthy and Kareem and Byron Scott. And,
Yeah.
oh,
That's honestly, it's awesome that you got to watch the Showtime Lakers. I feel like not a, you know, I grew up towards the tail end of Jordan's kind of
mhm.
run. I don't remember I remember like the last 2 years of his kind of run. So I'm very jealous that you got to see like kind of Magic do his thing.
uh, he was unreal.
Yeah. Uh did you have like a favorite player growing up? Was it Magic?
It was Magic, but I really liked. I love James Worthy because he was
Yeah.
just consistent and I don't know, just like a steadying force on those teams outside of the
Mhm.
big names. And then I loved Byron Scott because when I played youth basketball, I was like a shooting guard, and he was the Lakers shooting guard.
Nice.
So just knocking down threes, and
Yeah, yeah.
so he was a big favorite.
How uh how long did you play basketball for?
I probably played from fourth grade until my freshman year of high school. I played freshman
Yeah.
basketball. And then I also played soccer growing up. And then
Mhm.
my sophomore year of high school, I decided to play soccer. And then because I'm indecisive, my junior year, I was like, oh, maybe I'll go back to basketball. And then I was playing basketball in our summer league, and uh, got in a bit of a tussle
Ooh.
during summer league, and got in the coach's doghouse, and my playing time dipped considerably, and I think I lost that coach at that point.
Tussle
um
with teammates or tussle with the other team?
no, with the other team, it was like opening tip off. Our guy wins the tip off, tips it back. I run down the wing, and I catch a pass as I'm going down the wing, and I go up for a layup, and this dude just takes my head off. First play
Mm-mm.
of the game.
So
And
you need teammates who got your back there.
yeah, and I snapped, so I grabbed him and I tried to throw him against the back padded wall behind
Yeah, yeah.
the basket, and then other players and coaches were like in there pulling me off of him.
Wow.
I had never done that before either. It just pissed me off so bad, like straight out of the
Crazy.
gate to do something like that.
Yeah. When's the last time you played basketball?
Oh man, it's been ages.
Yeah.
I have some really, really bad knees. I've had surgery on both of them. We used to play, my friends and I, when was that? Probably like 15 years ago. We stopped. We used to have like a Saturday morning pickup game.
Nice. Yeah.
So we'd go ball for like 2 or 3 hours, and then go get a sandwich at the deli down the
Yeah.
street. And it was great. So
I
good.
feel like so many of the LA area musicians I talk to, like, still try and get like musician basketball games going every now and then.
Yeah. I played in like a men's league too around that time
Oh, cool.
too. And we were so bad. Oh my God. Out of shape. And I don't know, there were just like all kinds of random dudes. Like we played against some guy who had like graduated from UC Irvine like
Yeah,
8 years prior. He was like
sure.
dunking on us, and we're a bunch of
Yep.
like 5'9" white guys who can only shoot threes.
Hmm.
So we'd live and die by the three and just get dunked on by these people. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I play every year in like a work league, and every time I I get on the court, I'm like, is this the day my knees go?
Right. The Achilles.
I
That's what I'm
know.
worried about now.
Yeah,
I
for
have
sure.
my partner at Classic Grid actually just ruptured his Achilles like
Oh,
at a work event, and I'm like, oh shit, that's something I
yeah,
need to like think about. Let's not do anything
I
stupid.
know. Uh, I do half court sessions, which is like, kind of acoustic performances on basketball courts, and I had
Yeah.
Noah from Runner,
Mm-hmm.
and he tore his Achilles playing basketball.
Uh,
So when he was dribbling the ball when we were filming, he's like, "This is probably the first time I've dribbled since I tore my Achilles." I'm like, "Oh shit, don't you take it easy, man."
yeah, that is not an
Uh,
easy one to come back from.
definitely, definitely. Um, are you kind of tuning back into the Lakers now?
Um, yeah, I mean, I was tuned in for the playoffs, so it was
Yeah,
awfully short. But
unfortunately,
um,
yeah.
yeah, I was what this year I was watching them a little bit at the beginning of the year, and then they kind of hit a rough patch for a bit,
Hmm.
and then they started seemed like they were kind of starting to gel or like figure out what they were going to be.
Yeah.
And then AD got traded for
Hmm.
Luca, and I was interested then, and I kind of followed from then until the playoffs, which were
Yeah.
just a disaster. It turns out that not having a center is maybe not the best
Yeah.
idea.
I mean, LeBron, you know, bless him, but he can't play center.
No, he can't, and neither can Jackson Hayes.
No. And they didn't even play him.
Clearly, because they didn't
Yeah.
play him. Yeah, um, and then Max Kleber played in the last game. I was like, "Whoa, I forgot we even had him."
Right. I guess there's some work there in the off season. That's something you guys need to maybe check off the list.
Yeah, I don't. From what I've been reading, they don't have a lot of room to work with,
Yeah.
so they might just be stuck with what they got.
I feel like that Luca trade was such a kind of like huge moment in basketball.
Oh yeah.
Uh, do do you, what was going through your mind on that trade day?
First, I was like, "This has got to be like somebody hacked
It felt
Shams's
like a
account."
joke, right?
Yeah, there's no way that this. First, why would you do that? Not from the Lakers' point of view
Yeah.
necessarily, but like, why the hell are the Mavs trading away Luca? And then I thought about it, and I was like, I have a like a text group with two of my buddies who are like insane Lakers fans, like they know
Okay.
everything. Um, and I was like, oh man, did you guys see this? And they're like, what? That can't be real. There's no way that's
Yeah.
real. And then as it started to settle in that it was real, um, we were all kind of like, I don't know if I like it that much. In the future, yes, we'll
Yeah.
like it. But like for right now, I mean, if he resigns, which it seems like he's going to.
I think he actually just literally stated like
Oh,
he didn't resign, sorry.
right.
But he did say like the Lakers will be my long-term home.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, it
Yeah.
sets you up for after LeBron, but
Yeah.
um, I don't know, man. My initial response to the trade was like, he doesn't play defense.
Yeah.
He's got a bad body. I don't know that that body is going to age well. So it makes you a worse defensive team straight out of the gate.
Hmm.
And then if you're trying to push this window of competitiveness, if he ages poorly or decides that he doesn't want to get in shape, how long? I don't know. Like how long is this window going to be
Sure.
viable? So I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. He's fucking awesome. I don't know
I
how
know.
he is.
I know.
He's got total dad game.
It's the Euro thing. Like, look at Jokic. Like,
Yeah.
how is he the
How?
greatest player in the world? You know?
Court
So
sense.
I feel like I totally understand that, but I feel like it's like I see like the numbers he puts up and the stats he has and like the way he plays and his vision. But
Mhm.
it's like you just like have to like kind of trust it because like he got to where he is.
Yeah.
but I hear what you're saying. Like, how is time gonna age him? But who knows? Maybe he's re-inspired on the Lakers, and
Yeah.
Redick's like, we're gonna prove him wrong, man.
Yeah. I think I've been spoiled by LeBron too, because there's no
Yeah.
reason that a 40-year-old should be able to do anything that he does.
No, absolutely not. And who knows how many? I mean, do you think what next year's the last year?
Um, I could I could see last or next year being the last year, but
Yeah.
I don't know. If they would have gotten a little bit further in the playoffs, I would have said, "Oh, maybe he'll play like 2 or 3."
Hmm.
But I don't know. I guess it depends if they can get like a semi decent big
Yeah.
for Luca to work off of and them to kind of figure out what they're doing with. I th- I think they could be good, but if they don't get a big, it's just going to be the same shit,
Yeah.
but a different year. And then LeBron's a year older, and
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know.
I just wonder if he's. I feel like it's always like LeBron is kind of thinking about what's the story of my career a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help but think like, man, imagine if they found a way to get a pretty decent big, and he retires with a championship.
That would be, I mean, for me,
It
ideal. For
That's the
most
story,
people,
right?
no.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Part of me feels like he's trying to always map these things out, and maybe next year he's like, I'm gonna just say it, and we're gonna go for it, and if not, then I'm done.
yeah.
But who knows? Maybe there's also people talking about he wants to hang on until his other son gets in the NBA.
Oh, geez. His other son is gonna be a senior or is a senior
I
this year. I
think it
can't.
would be he'd be 2 years out, so
Uh,
he would have to do 2 seasons to play with him.
and then he'd have to do the nepo baby thing again,
Yeah.
where he gets his son drafted.
Oh man.
Uh,
What do you think about Bronny being on the team?
I think that it was a fun story for like
Yeah, exactly.
a minute. Um, I don't know. I
Yeah, I
would
know.
never wish ill will on anybody, but it it seemed like the general consensus from people who know more about ball than I do
Mhm.
was like this guy does not deserve to be drafted.
Yeah. Well,
Which is
definitely a
fine.
fun story.
Yes. But also nobody else in the draft was the offspring of LeBron James. So
Sure. I know you're not as in tune with kind of the rest of the NBA these days, but do you have any thoughts on what the rest of the playoffs might look like?
mm, I would love to see Cleveland OKC in the final.
That'd be great.
Anything but the Celtics is
Yep.
fine with
I
me.
think that's the general consensus.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
If,
Knicks versus Thunder would be cool too.
that would be cool.
Or
I
also Knicks versus Timberwolves, and you get that Cat and Gobert kind of
yes.
that trade situation face off.
Yeah.
That would be cool too.
Yeah. I have a tough time rooting against Ant, even though they were
Um,
totally kicking the Lakers' ass. Like, I love watching him. I
he's
loved
got
watching
so
him
much
last
fire.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got that dog in him. It's,
You mentioned Yasiel Puig. There's a little bit of Puig in him.
yes.
He's got a little craziness. Like he'll say anything. He doesn't care.
Yep. Totally
Um,
unhinged and then freakishly good.
yeah.
Um,
I
yeah, I
I think
wouldn't
he's
mind seeing the T Wolves, although I cannot stand Rudy Gobert.
I same. Yeah.
And
But
watching him torch the Lakers in that final game was like
yeah, it's tough.
a lot.
Well, it unfortunately pointed out that glaring hole that they have. Like they have
Yeah.
such a presence as a center, and Lakers had clearly none. Like LeBron
Yes.
on Gobert is just insane.
It's a joke. Yeah.
All right. Well, the kind of like last bit I love to do is we mentioned earlier. So it's called musician matchup. And the idea is to kind of come up with what is the musical comp for some NBA players, and we got some Lakers players, and we'll kind of go down the list and compare our answers. It's I know you said you were struggling a little bit.
I struggled. I will do my best. I'm
It's
interested
all
to hear
good.
what you say, but
I've been doing this for so long now that it's like I feel like I know how to like wire my brain to think this way.
Nice.
Um, but let's start with, go way back with
Mhm.
Jerry West.
All right. This one was easy for me, but then
Hmm.
see what happened was I I would come up with a comp. I'm like, that's good. And then I would think a little bit deeper about it.
Yeah,
And then I'm like, oh no, that's a disqualifier. Oh no,
right.
that's a
You have
disqualifier.
to
But
pick like one thing. Yeah.
screw it. Yeah. So for Jerry West, I did the Beatles
Yeah.
because of the lasting legacy and an incredible career.
Yeah.
Um,
He's the logo.
he's the logo, and the Beatles are just ubiquitous, like,
Yeah,
and probably will be for the history of the world, the remaining
absolutely.
history of the world. Yes.
I um I went with kind of the same the reasoning, but I kind of like narrowed the filter a little bit, and I went
Mm-hmm.
with Ian MacKaye just because he is the logo
Oh
of
yeah, that
hardcore
is a good comp. Yeah.
for sure. And then even just like the way it evolved out of Minor Threat to Fugazi, and just like he's the dude. He's
Yes.
also a basketball guy.
Is he really?
I think him, or I'm thinking of actually Guy Picciotto is a big basketball guy.
Uh, Disgruntled Wizards fan, probably.
Yes, he is. Um, Cool. So yeah, like-minded there, moving a little forward in time to Kobe, which I'm kind of excited about my response for this
Oh
one. But
man,
how do
this
you,
was
yeah,
hard.
how do you compare Kobe to anyone?
This was hard for me because I mean, as a Lakers fan, I loved watching Kobe. There were
Mhm.
some points in time during his career where I really hated
Yeah,
watching Kobe, um, which is why the comp doesn't work. But I'm gonna stick with it anyway. Um,
whatever.
and then the off the court stuff uh,
Of course, yeah,
is not good, and I didn't want to do a musical comp for that. But I said
yeah.
um, maybe Radiohead
Mhm.
because I feel like people who like Radiohead will love anything that Radiohead does.
Yeah.
And people who dislike Radiohead think it's just like unlistenable,
Yeah.
overrated crap. And then Kobe is kind of like the Kobe defenders love Kobe. And there's nothing that Kobe can
Hmm.
do, even off the court stuff, where they're like, oh, actually, maybe he's
Right.
kind of a dick.
I
And then, yeah, I just a divisive figure, but kind of like
Sure.
undeniably good, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. Totally. I feel like even with Radiohead, like the way I view Radiohead is like I think they're incredibly talented, but I'm just rarely in the mood to listen to them.
There you
Uh,
go.
and that's actually kind of how I feel about Kobe. Like I've never been a Kobe fan, but like man, he was so good.
Yeah. It
Um,
was insane and didn't like his attitude.
yeah,
I'm going
no,
to
I
say
I
that.
get it. So
Just
where
seemed
I went
toxic
was
to me.
yeah, I went with the like kind of Mamba mentality kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I went with Brian Wilson.
Ooh,
Uh, because Brian Wilson had to do things like his way in this very specific way.
that's good. Yeah.
And Kobe is like, if you're gonna play with me, like you have to like work around me.
Right.
So I feel like, I always think back to when Kobe would like all the stories about like, being teammates with like Smush Parker and like Kwame Brown
Yeah.
and just like how he just roasted them and like about not being good enough teammates basically for him.
Yes.
And I kind of feel like there's a Brian Wilson aspect, and when
I
I think about how he made music, he was so particular.
I see it.
And then moving next to his teammates, Shaq, which this is actually the hardest one for me.
This one was tough for me too. Um, I went with Metallica
Mm, just
because
powerful.
yeah, powerful, like absolutely dominant
Yeah.
for a good portion of his or their career.
Uh-huh.
And then some internal conflicts kind of spun him and them
Hmm.
out a bit, and they made some questionable choices. But they're still everywhere.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
Metallica's still like the biggest metal band in the world, and Shaq literally cannot say no to a commercial.
Yeah. The general. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, that's good. That's definitely mine was like in the same thinking, but it's definitely a better yours is a better representation. I went with Smashing Pumpkins just because I feel like they had such a good stretch, but I feel like they're not as like synonymous as like Metallica is, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
Shaq is the most dominant center of all time.
Yes.
Like as far as pure dominance and like no one being able to stop him, but yeah, there's not many people that can like do that comparison. I think Metallica is definitely a good pick.
Nice.
And then lastly, the ushering in the new era of the Lakers. Who's the
Uh,
Luca?
I this one was the one that stumped me completely. Like I
There's
have,
storylines. There's all sorts of stuff.
yeah. Um, I was trying to think of bands that are like good despite X, Y, or Z,
Hmm.
but then I'm like, can't really think of a band like that. I
Yeah.
mean, um, then I was thinking about bands maybe that had like a major career arc
Yeah.
shift. Um, but then we don't know the second chapter of Luca's career
True.
yet. So I was like, okay, so if he's good, is it really that big of a shift? I don't
Right.
know. So I totally airballed this
All good.
one.
All good. And I'll admit my answer, I was pretty stumped, and then I got an assist from my buddy John. And
Ah,
it's actually so perfect. It's specifically the Yankee Hotel Foxtrot era Wilco.
all right.
Um, because their label said there's no hits on this thing. And then they ended up dropping them.
Yeah, that's
And released it
perfect.
there on a different label.
That
And
is perfect.
that's the Luca trade.
That's really, really good.
I can't believe how perfect that fit. And I'm a huge vocal fan. You can kind of tell by looking at me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Luca and Wilco is Luca of indie rock. I think a little bit. So yeah,
Mhm. I
but
can't
yeah,
believe
that's
they dragged him so hard.
I know, I know.
And then and then JJ Redick comes out. He's like, we got to be in better shape.
Yeah, doing the same thing, just like in a nicer way. I always think back to the clip, especially after the trade of last year when they were in the playoffs, and Michael Finley just comes up and takes the beer out of his hand.
Yeah,
Like, dude,
I had forgotten about that. Oh my god.
yeah. It's like, man. Um, well, thanks for obliging in this game.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming on the podcast and chatting basketball a little.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I like what you do.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. And definitely looking forward to some new Thrice stuff.
Me too.
Cool.
I would like to finish it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on, man.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Take
Take care.
care.